everyone, welcome back to Couch Talk with NHS. My name is Zanele Buthelezi, aka Zanele. Today I am joined by Buthelezi, your co-host, and I'll be hosting the show today. Buthelezi, boss lady.
Mm-hmm.
So you're the guest today.
I am on the other side. It feels very good, no pressure.
Today we are joined by two esteemed principals, Mr. Mudube as well as Mr. Ramataba. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking. And thanks for having me in your show.
You're most welcome, anytime. And how are you doing?
I'm doing great, to say the least, and thank you for the invite.
You're most welcome.
Return soldier.
Always nice to have you back.
Oh!
Anytime. Anytime you're welcome.
Wow.
You're part of the family now.
Wow. Thank you, I'll take it up.
No problem. So today what makes us sit in this setting is the start of new beginnings. That is the principal's desk.
Woo.
Wow! And what is the story with the principal's desk? Why principal's desk as a name? What came into mind when you were thinking of the name of the podcast, and what inspired for you to start this podcast?
I would say it. I came here and did couch talk and shared the stories. At that time, I think it was just under a year after assuming a position as a principal in a high school, and I felt this was me to say there is so much that I personally do not know, and I want to learn, and I want to learn in ways that much easier for me to actually get the information. And I thought people out there would also like to learn, and I thought, in my mind, maybe if one can be part of a discussion, an online or platform discussion, where we look at issues of school leadership, so that at least one can learn even more in that. So basically that was that, and I think I shared that with Neo. And left it at that. And at some point, I bumped into Mr. Midupi and just thought, that idea that I shared with Neo, maybe the person that I think is more appropriate to actually, be a host of it is Mr. Midupi. And yeah, I left it at that. And Lady Boss, being Lady Boss, she kept on pushing. And she just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And here we are, I must say. I'll pause there.
Maybe Mr. You can say something before, because I want to give everybody the history of why the three of us, or why Emmanuel thought, we could co-host the show together.
I'm not so sure what is it that you want me to say, but anyway.
So maybe you can, in your response, maybe you can tell us how you found it to be selected as one of the people that would co-host this podcast, and what came to your mind when they told you about it.
Yeah, I was very much impressed and very much grateful, in actual fact, that Emmanuel came to me and spoke about it. It is something that is extraordinary, something that is new, something that is different. And when he shared the idea with me, I was like, yes, this is something that I think colleagues out there can learn something out of, and I know that it will be beneficial. So all I said to him is that I'm up for the challenge, because I'm very passionate about development, lifelong learning. So to me, I knew in the back of my mind that if I have to sit and have conversations with fellow school leaders, there is a lot to learn from those people that will be coming through as guests. So I was looking forward to those conversations where people will be learning, sharing ideas, and ensuring that we take the education system to greater heights. Yes, I did think of the challenges that we might encounter, but I remain positive because I'm a positive person. And I know that the principal desk it's going to be a platform that will benefit not only the novice principals, but every single person within the education sphere. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
So just to add on that, then I think the other purpose of why we started this thing is that, I mean, all three of us are in the education space by virtue of working in education.
Yeah.
I mean, they both principals or school leaders, and I am in HR, but in the education space. So how we met is that I've had an opportunity to interview both of them, right? I made offers to both of them. That's why we're sitting here today. You know?
So don't forget to add the head don't mention the name. But
Yes.
One between the two of us, yes.
Yeah.
I must say.
So with Emmanuel, I did some strategies because I needed to get to him. I did it, and yeah. So you know what? So I thought when Emmanuel brought it to me, because that was after he got interviewed by us on Couch Talk, I thought it was a very good idea, because at some point we don't understand how important it is to understand the schooling sector, right? Specifically for us as parents and the community at large. So I think we're not only looking at leaders in the education space, we're looking at educating our parents, educating other stakeholders, because it's really a community that we're talking to, right? We're also talking to new principals that are just coming into the system, because at times they don't know what they need to do. They don't have support. So I think this platform would just be a platform of sharing ideas and, you know, just taking people through each and every single principal who would be sitting with us through their journey and what they've experienced, and just, you know, just making it fun, having, you know, people commenting and sharing whatever it is that they want to hear.
Okay. So you would say your target market is this whole society at large?
It's a society at large, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the people that would be interested in joining the podcast, are you looking specifically at leaders at school, or are there certain levels that you're currently looking into gaining more knowledge in?
No, not necessarily. So because we called it Principal's Desk, we were mainly focusing on, let's talk to the principals and let them share their success stories within their particular schools. But I mean, we can drill it down to, let's talk to the teachers as well. Let them share their experiences. Let's talk to the SGB. Let's talk to the unions. Let's talk to the parents. So anybody that has a story to tell and people that would want their voices to be heard, they're more than welcome to join us.
And more than all, maybe to add in there, I don't know why, but there's this thing, you know, the tagline, making education a societal priority. It has been something that I think we have not taken it up, you know, to say, how do we go about it? How do we ensure that the voices within the basic education space, you know, are heard, and issues are, you know, concepts and issues are demystified, you know, in and around education, to say, you know, how do we do that in such a way that everyone, all stakeholders, know what is happening and they know why are certain decisions made, you know, so that at least it becomes all of us, it's our responsibility, and, you know, everyone knows how they can play part, so that at least our schools are a success at the end of the day.
I just want to add 2 or 3 more things there. It says, you know, the notion it takes a village to raise a child. In the schooling system, the principal is the center of the school, but the principal, him or her, needs people around to support and ensure that this child that we want to give quality education to receives it. So we have to bring in the parents, like Naya's already alluded, and then we not only focus on the parents that are necessarily on the SGB, but the parents as part of the community of the school. The school belongs to the community. Then you have to ensure that the teachers themselves are knowledgeable of the school policies. Why is the principal doing X, Y, and Z? They need to understand. Then you have your SMTs. They need to be brought in as well. They need to be part of the guests, because of the parents who are not at school on a day-to-day basis. They need to understand the roles and the responsibilities and the contribution that the departmental heads, subject heads make in order to make sure that the child receives the education there. And then just moving beyond the school level, you've got what we call the IDSO, the support structure to the principal. Parents, people who were born before I was born, they know of inspectors. Now we're talking of IDSO, but not everybody knows what the role of an IDSO is. So it is important that they are part of our guests so that they can share what is it that they're expected to do, or the type of support that they have to give to the head of the schools. And then we also have what we call circuit managers, which are now the bosses or the seniors to the IDSOs. They also need to be brought into the space so that everybody can understand why things are done the way they are and how we reach certain decisions. So that this child, who is a client, by the way, gets the best education. So it's an exciting opportunity for everybody out there to understand the dynamics that are in the education spectrum.
Okay. So now that we're talking about stakeholders, you're currently sitting with HR people. Just to get an understanding in terms of, in your respective schools, what role do you think the HR people play as a support function?
You know, it is important, and that from the point of recruiting, educators and onboarding and the supporting induction and knowing that people, know what is expected of them, skilling and reskilling of educators. I think, just to share with you something that dawned to me when I transitioned from being a principal in an independent school to being a principal in a public school. I realized that I now more of an HR person. I spend most of my time doing HR issues. It be, having to submit because we have got now a vacant post, and I've got to run interviews. I've got to make certain submissions so that at least I'm allowed to do appointments, doing induction and, issues of leave. And so, HR is pretty much part of what I'm like. From where I'm standing, it I must say it may take up to 30, if not 40% of my time just doing the HR activities. So it is key. And the HR, where the HR people come in is to guide, to say that there are certain policies that I've got to adhere to, so that at least everything that I'm doing is above board, is legal, and is something that does not violate any legal prescripts as such.
Yeah, we in the government sector, we have what we call the selection and recruitment and selection processes, which would vary from one year to the next. But luckily, we get a clear directive from the department with regards to that. And in the school system, as a principal, you're not on your own. You're working hand in hand with the department and the fellow SGB members. Because when you conduct interviews, you have to sit with the fellow SGB parent component. But what is important, like Emmanuel is saying, is that you need to ensure that before the whole process unfolds, they understand policies. So it's important that you take them through the workshops. So that when clients come in or teachers come in for interviews, you know exactly how the process will unfold and what needs to be done. We also get a clear mandate or clear support from the union, the labor unions within the education system. They are also there to support and make sure that you do the right thing, you follow the right processes. Yes, it's a lot of admin, it's a lot of paperwork. However, once you do it and you do it correctly or properly the first time around, you'll realize that thereafter it's more, it becomes easier. And for me, the one thing that I like most about that is that I am able to ensure that the people who come in and join the school are people that I know for certain they will be part of the vision. So that's the nicest thing about being an HR manager at the school. You are able to bring a strong team that will help you reach your goal. So it's easier when you're doing the whole process that you identify the right people. Remember, as a school, you have your needs. So your needs analysis are attached to HR personnel within the school. You don't want to bring in people with skills that you don't need. You want to ensure that the skills that they come with are the ones that are going to help you drive your vision. Yeah.
Okay. So before I can just allow you to come in on that question, Noah, please also elaborate in terms of what your role is in the podcast itself as an HR person.
Sure, okay. So I think in a schooling environment, like any other organization, we're there to guide, to support, management in terms of certain decisions and making sure that we are operating within legislation and all the regulations, policies and procedures that we have. At times I think we, because it's always different dynamics, right? I'm just going to make an example with us. When we had, when we would have interviews, for example, at times Emmanuel would be caught between, I've got an urgent position, I need to fill this position because a parent is expecting a teacher in the classroom. I need to have a teacher in the classroom, and then I go back to what Mr. Milupi saying, that we need to do it right. It was just that balance of let's work together so that at least at the end of the day we achieve what it is. So our role is to really go through the process with them, understand, sympathize with them. Don't just say we're just going to follow the process, take it. It is what it is. But just guide, let's put certain processes in place, let's put, fixed term measures in place while we still do it right. Because hiring somebody is very easy, but getting rid of somebody who's not right for your organization then becomes a challenge. It becomes a huge challenge. So my role in the podcast really is to manage the two gentlemen.
Okay.
Let's be positive.
I'm joking. I'm always getting into trouble with this. So
I've got to answer that for her. To say, her role in the main has been to push us to ensure that these come into fruition. It moved from being a concept on the paper to become something that is realized, something that comes alive. So I think, we'll understand that, many times our busy schedule wouldn't allow for us to actually make time, set time apart to actually ensure that that becomes a reality. But she has been, indeed someone who would, remind us to say that we have got this schedule. Please ensure that at least you come through, or you clear your diary and make yourself available. I think, she has played that role very well. By the way, I'm answering for her. Well done. Give credit where it's due. Well done.
We are doing a great job.
So you're both agreeing that she's actually managing
She's not managing the show, she's managing us.
Yes. So no, my role in the podcast is really behind the scenes. So you won't necessarily see me, but you'll hear me. So I'm acting as, just asking questions specifically related to, not only to teachers, but in a school we've got different aspects, different pillars that are being looked at. So just with the different principles, we just want to see, because the school is run by people. Any other company, most companies are run by humans, and that's what we deal with. Dealing with people, making sure that our people are right and they're well taken care of. So that's my role, just asking questions behind the scenes. So like I said, you won't see me, but you'll hear me.
Okay. So maybe to the three of you, what are some of the things that when you started your careers, you were like, okay, this is what I'm looking forward to, and then you started, and as you entered your careers and progressed through your careers, you were like, shoo, I was not expecting that. That was a shocker.
I'll let him go first.
I'm still thinking.
Let me go first. I think when I started my career, when I finished school, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. HR was my second option because IT was my first, right? I've always said I like trying out things until I figure things out. So obviously working on a computer doesn't backchat, it doesn't argue. I'll figure it out until I get whatever it is that I wanted. Went into HR, worked on systems, did recruitment, and I think it's challenging because working with people is not always easy. Specifically in HR, you're not always going to be liked, but I think in my career, I played it fair in terms of, delivering not only good messages, but also bad and sad messages, but doing it sympathetically and empathetically as well. Just understanding that we are dealing with people, you know. So redirection or rerouting of my career, I, in some ways, think the two things came about because I also loved, my mom was in education, so I loved that, but I ended up there but not being a teacher. I don't think I would have coped, you know. And now running a business that is dealing with HR, running a business, I think it just led. I didn't know that I wanted to do it, but looking at my path, I was having a conversation with my mom about it, that I wasn't a naughty child at school, but I used to sell mazimba. Like, we used to sell it, like, you know, hostel, and then on Wednesdays or sometimes I would just sneak out. My cousin would just worry because now people are looking, and like, I make a lot of guys stop. You know, and those things. So I would sell those things, and not because I wanted the money. It was just fun for me. It was, and throughout, I've just always been, if something needed to be done, I would take up the leadership role and things like that. So I think I was just guided in my path, and yeah, it got me here. Didn't think I would be here, but here we are.
What shocked you?
What shocked me? I think the the biggest shocker for me, I don't know. There's just a lot of things that have happened. Am I shocked? No, but I think yeah, I can't think of anything at the moment.
Okay.
Is there anything that has shocked me? You work with me. Have I ever been shocked?
We're always shocked by how people behave.
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
I think the things that shock me really is how certain managers would act and how people behave in organizations, and you lived in saying like you actually thought of that, you know. And again, you need to bring yourself to people's level and actually say, okay, it's fine, you did that, but let's have a chat.
Yeah.
This is not how you do it, you know. So I think I'm just being shocked by how things just unfold.
Yes. I just want to add on what you've just said, now that you mentioned it, to say, I think that was also what was the biggest shocker for me, to see people do things that I thought they would never do, you know, and then act in a manner that I would think, no, why are you doing that? Why are you acting like that?
Yes.
And that throughout the years had taught me one thing, that do not think that what you see is what you'll always get, or do not assume that X, Y, you know, there's some other people, especially being a young leader, by the way, when you have to deal with older teachers, i.e., for example, the way that they would retaliate or behave, you look at them and say, please, not like that. Or somebody in seniority, somebody who's your manager, when they do something or say something and you don't expect it, those are kind of shockers to me. But overall, because of I'm a positive person, I look at it and I let it bypass.
Exactly.
Because of if I don't do that, if I entertain that, then I won't be able to excel in what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, I will share with what Mr. Mujube just said. Human behavior. I was sharing with him offline of a certain behavior that I experienced quite recently. A very painful experience, I must say. You know, as we grow up, we get to socialize certain ways. Assume that people will behave this. People,
that's a thing.
Yeah, in a certain way, to say that this is the behavior that I expect in this person. And you know, when that does not happen, you then get a shock of your life. I'm like, presently, I got a shock, really, of my life, of a certain behavior that, you know, happened, and I did not believe, and I still do not believe that a person could behave, you know, that way. Still in my profession, I still have to embrace that people in the workspace can behave, you know, that way. I think more than all, that's the shock. Of course, as a young educator, if you were to ask me two things that shocked you want keep on wondering. Just one. Apart from behavior.
Yes.
I will leave it to viewers out there.
If there's one thing,
And full stop. I'm done, Zanele. I'm done.
So it's the salary and full stop.
Yes. But you must also make a face. Ne?
Yeah.
It's a salary. Yes, because when people look at us, they look at school managers and they look at you and they think that you are earning way too much. But they also don't know the responsibilities that comes with the money that you're earning. We're not complaining about that. We are in this because of the love of education. It has nothing to do with money. So yeah, salary. Full stop.
So you've got your conclusion. But
And full stop.
and salary.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Just to go back a bit on the conversation of stakeholders, how involved are the parents in their kids' studies?
Yeah. It's a challenge. It's a huge challenge to get the parents to be on board in a manner that would appreciate them being on board. I'll tell you one. A lot of parents, because I'm in high school, they assume that once the child hits grade 8, they are old enough to make certain decisions. So they no longer assume the role of supporting them like they did in primary school. As a result, these are the young boys and girls coming to high school, teenagers going through adolescent stage. Of course, there are certain things they're going to try out in life. And as a result, whatever they're trying out, whether being negative or positive, it affects the academic performance. And in most cases, when you try to get the parents to come in and to discuss the life of the young one, they always have excuses. Or a parent will boldly say to you, but say you are there to support. Please perform your miracle. Or even worse, a parent telling you, I've tried and I cannot do anything. I've tried to support, I've tried to discipline, I'm failing, please help. The problem that we have with our current society is a lack of, should I say, communication, conversations. We no longer have those. Parents are so busy focusing on their careers. The learners are coming back from school, the parents are not at home, the learners would be in their rooms, hopefully doing some study, but they're not doing some study, they're on social media. And then when the parents come back, they're exhausted. There's no time to converse, there's no time to talk. I mean, I once had a situation where I had a parent who was in my office with a boy child. It was a mother with a boy child. She was going on about everything that she's doing for the young man. Everything that she's doing for the young man, you've got this, you've got your PC, you've got everything you need. I don't know why you are embarrassing me. Take note, why you're embarrassing me. And I asked the young man, is there anything that you want to say to your mom? And all he said was, please love me and stop spoiling me. Those words on their own, you should have seen the look on her face. And I said to her, please take note. It's not all about earthly stuff. It's about the love and care and support. And I think in most cases what parents are doing incorrectly, it's spoiling their kids. Giving them all the material things, but they're not giving them the love and support. And they're not even being part of the education. I mean, for a child to go to school, to write a test, and then when they get back from school, mommy or dad is not even asking them how was the paper. It's sad. We are not saying that you should do that religiously. Of course you're supposed to, but be that parent who's involved. How was school? Is there anything else you need? Do we need to be in extra class? Or how was this subject? What's happening? What other sporting codes are you taking? Getting involved in? I mean, in high school we do have extramural activities, but it's very rare that you'll find parents there to support their kids. Yeah, there's a point in their lifetime where they feel like this is where it ends. From then onwards, they're on their own. But one thing that parents must also remember out there is that the kids grow and they grow fast thanks to social media. By the time you want to step in, it will be too late. This is why a lot of parents do not have any form of relationship with their kids. So parental involvement at the school that I'm at, it's lacking. But I would love it to be better. But at the same time, the parents that are there for their kids are supportive to both the school and the learners. I don't know about you, man.
I think it's the same or similar experience, I would say. Parental involvement, particularly in high school, is something that need to fulfill, it need to improve. just to give you the numbers. Even I'm like, you would invite parents for a very important meeting for grade 12 learners. And at times you will hardly have 30-40% of parents coming through. So those are the dynamics that happens in the education space. At least where we are working. But through this engagement, we are hoping that at least parents will see that sign, because apart from unions and all the stakeholders that will get to engage with, we'll time and again train people who will just share a bit of how important it is for parents to be involved in their children's education. Just to share something as I'm concluding this, I recall vividly, when I was young, still going to school. My dad works here in Joburg, and he will travel to the villages, which is 500 kilometers, and although you will do so maybe once, if lucky twice in a month, you will check the books. They may not check all of them, but he will check. And that stayed with us, so much so that you would think he will check every other time.
Absolutely.
Just checking, I'm saying once in a month when he's back, he will check. And I think that is what we need to conscientize our parents in, to say that we do not want you, yes, to replace the educator, but check. That one check or twice check will go a long way in ensuring that your child understands you are interested in the education.
And can I just also add one more thing there from what Emmanuel has also said, is that my experience has also taught me that when the parents are directly involved, i.e. checking the books, communicating with the teachers, the learner performance is much better compared to the learner whose parents are not there. Also, it also affects the behavior of the child, because now the child knows that I'm getting all the support that I need from home and at school. So it is very important for the parents to know that. I always say to the parents, you don't need to be knowledgeable. You don't need to be the one who's able to read or write. You don't need to know mathematics. But showing interest goes a long way. So that's what we want parents to do. I always say, when you check the books, I'm not saying go through the content. You are just perusing. Today is such a date. Work has been done. If work was not done, why was it not done? And you go through the test. Why did you score 20% and not 80%? What can I do to assist? Have you spoken to the teacher? Those are very important conversations that you have. And when you go and see your teachers as a parent, you go there with your child so that you understand. You don't only listen to what the child is saying, and you also don't listen to what the teacher is saying. It's important that the three of us sit together and we support each other, because at the end of the day, it's all about support.
No, I think as a society we all need to do better. So looking forward to the podcast, because I think there's a lot of learning that will come with it. Just to the parents, just remember that time wasted is never regained. Just make sure that you are involved in your kids' education, so that you are also aware of the things that are happening with your child. Okay, whilst on that note, one last thing from my side.
You say it with a voice. Say it with a voice like something is about to pop.
I am listening.
Okay.
Stop managing my feelings.
She's managed,
She just managed it. She managed our feelings and our moods. So you must control yourself. Posture must change. And you're all listening.
Zanele,
Now you feel like
Now we feel like we're in the principal's office.
Exactly.
Properly.
Okay, so just one last thing, or one last question from me. What still keeps you awake? I mean, after so many years in the industry, what still motivates you? What still gives you that drive? What still makes you feel like it's 5 o'clock, I need to be waking up. 5 o'clock, I need to be on the road.
For me, that's quite easy. I'm going to keep it short. You know the words that come out of a previous learner. When the learner comes back to school after they've matriculated, after they've graduated from university to say, thank you, sir. If it wasn't because of you, I wouldn't be X, Y, and Z.
Oh, that's nice.
To me, that's what matters the most. It's not about all 1,500. Of course, it's my responsibility, but the feedback that I get from them, it's what keeps me going.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, I must say there's nothing that can replace that feeling. The feeling of being called when you're walking down with family, shopping, and say, you remember me? I was in your class, and you turn around and you look at this elderly person, a person that would have matured by then, and maybe you don't recall them that well, but they say, I was this person, and you ask them what they are doing. They tell you a story to say, I'm now a CA, I'm now a, this, that, and the other. There is nothing that can replace that feeling, and over and above it all, the legacy that one is creating, because yes, as different professionals, we are doing things that will touch lives, but I think there's no profession that changes life than the one that we are in as educators. In my opinion, we shape future generations and generations after those generations, because they learners may forget what we have taught them in math and science, but how we make them feel, the environment that we create, particularly as principals, the environment that we create for them to learn is something that they will cherish for the rest of their lives. So that's something that motivates one to wake up. That you're going to do something that time will not be able to erase.
Absolutely.
True. Before you come in, just on that point, on last week I saw a post on social media where someone was saying the teacher that was teaching him at that particular time said hurtful words like "you're dumb, you're not going to succeed in life," and years later those words were still remembered by the child. So I get what you're really saying. It's either you build the person or you destroy the person.
Yeah.
So you play a very crucial role in seeing that there's good news that come after matric.
Yes.
Then it's a good motivating factor.
Yeah.
I do agree. And on your
Before
side?
Neo comes in, just to add on what we've just said now, it's that when you're in an education space, you must know that you are the results of what's going to transpire 10 years from now.
Yes.
Sure. That's
Whether we like it or not. Because of whatever I say or do will have an impact on the future of the country and the people's lives. So that's why I say it is very important that you watch what you say, and you also make sure that you look after your actions. Because the little ones will copy what you're doing, thinking it's right. Those hateful words will definitely come back.
Sure.
I think for me, what keeps me up and keeps me going is the change that we bring in our clients, right? We do it because we love it. We may go through different emotions in one day, but we still, go at it, and we serve with, we're proud of our work, and we're proud of the change that we are bringing. It may not be, change is not always good, and at times it's not well received, but at least people understand why we are doing certain things, because there has to be a standard. We need to follow procedures. And I think what comes with that, I think it's the same things that you guys said, is you see it with the feedback, right? That's how you know you're doing a good job, when clients appreciate. And I mean, I'm very proud of my team, just taking somebody from the feedback that I would receive, or somebody doing reference saying, I've worked with Neo, she took me from being an administrator, she took a chance on me, and now I'm an HR generalist. Things like that, they make me proud. It's why I'm doing certain things, and it's why I'm in this particular business. Yeah.
But now, so we are educators. We just want to tell you that, our jobs as educators is very important. And you see, even time will not erase the legacy that educators made. That person that became an HR generalist came
Started
from
you.
an educator.
Absolutely.
100%.
100%.
That's why I think I'm always stuck into education. I love it, and I was sold to the idea of, let's do this. I mean, we've written material within our company in terms of educator development. So we saw that there was a gap between educators that are coming into the system. So they've got the theoretical part, but coming in, emotional intelligence at times is not there. They don't know how to bridge because scenarios are different.
Yes.
You can be taught things theoretically, but when it comes to real life, you might exercise it in a different way, but working within a specific boundary. So, I mean, that's why we are doing this, and I really understand it. I mean, it comes from home. My mom was in education, So
She did a great job.
The head office is there, the education sector.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
it was wonderful speaking to all of you. Just one last thing, last. How can our listeners listen to your podcast? How do they get hold of you? Where do we watch the podcast so that we are on the lookout? And how soon can we start watching the podcast?
So the podcast is going to be an extension of LHS. So we will have 2 podcasts under the umbrella. So one would be on the same channel as Couch Talk with LHS. And then there will be Principal's Desk. So what we're going to do is then they're going to alternate. So 1 week would be Couch Talk, and then the other week would be Principal's Desk. So how soon? By next week we'll start with the intros and everything else. And then yes, we will be ready.
We are ready. We will listen. We will tune in.
Thank you.
Cap, do you want to close for us, Mrs. Belle?
Oh, do I still close? Oh my gosh. So as I always say, you don't have to take everything from the podcast, but at least take one thing with you. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Goodbye.
Tata.